Well, hey everybody, today we're going to be checking out what will no doubt be the most beautiful O-scale steam locomotive for 2023. I'll give you a hint, there he is, Chessie the Cat. That's right, today we're going to be checking out the new Lionel 3-rail O-scale C&O Greenbrier, and it's coming up right now on Eric's Trains. All right, let's get this thing out of the box, and for today's unboxing from my knife collection, we'll be using a repeat because on the evening that I'm filming this unboxing, I also filmed the unboxing for the new Lionel Brass Hybrid Challenger. So I'm using the same knife for both unboxings, and it's the Buck 119 Pro. I figure I should get at least 2 unboxings out of it because it was a very expensive knife. I got it last week. It's brand new. Buck 119 Pro, S35 VN steel, and the nice canvas micarta handle. Anyway, there's the box tag, model number 2331100, the Chessie Legacy Greenbrier number 612. OBS date, basically an on-the-water date of April 24th, 2023. This box actually looks a little different than most Lionel steam locomotive boxes that have red writing. This has black writing on it. Just a slightly different looking box. Maybe it was made in a different factory or something. And there's the box tag. I'm not sure if it's in focus for you, but the Chessie Legacy Greenbrier number 612, Legacy and Bluetooth control, Legacy rail sounds, whistle steam, and 072 minimum curve. I mean, really, the Brass Hybrid Challenger and the Greenbrier are 2 of the biggest models of the year for Lionel, in my opinion. There's the manual. Okay, here goes nothing. Oh, wow. They got tape on the dome here. Interesting. They must have put it there to hold it in place during shipping. Okay, there we go. Wow. Look at that thing. That looks incredible. And it's kind of got that orangey paint rather than yellow like you might expect on the Chessie. But Ryan at Lionel said that that was how it was intended and that they did use that color for a short time. There's the tender. Looks great. It's kind of neat. They've got the ribbing like painted on there. Looks really neat. Two speakers. Very cool. Got a couple things packaged separately. The elephant ears, the smoke deflectors. I thought that might be the case because I noticed that we had these holes up here. I thought, what are those for? Well, those are for the smoke deflectors. Let's give those a try. Pretty easy to install. Just those 2 pieces there go in those holes, and then this wraps around the steam pipes. There we go. That looks great. Wow. All right, man, doesn't this thing look awesome? So first off, a little history. So the Greenbrier was a class of 12 484 type steam locomotives built by Lima Locomotive Works in 3 batches between 1935 and 1948 and operated by the C&O. Now, while most American railroads stuck with the tradition of calling 484 locomotives Northerns, the C&O broke from that tradition and instead went with the name Greenbrier after the Greenbrier Hotel in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, which was a major resort on the C&O main line at that time. The Greenbriers were built with the primary purpose of hauling long, heavy, high-speed express passenger trains for the C&O, such as the George Washington and the fast-flying Virginian. All were retired by the mid-1950s. Only number 614 survives today, and it is on static display at the C&O Railway Heritage Museum in Clifton Forge, Virginia. Now, Lionel offered the new Greenbrier in their 2022 Volume 2 catalog, and these began arriving at train stores a few weeks ago in late July, early August 2023. Now, while this is a brand new model for Lionel, it is made using the ex-MTH Greenbrier tooling. So Lionel bought that from MTH, and they changed it around and modified it to be a fully fledged legacy steam locomotive. However, I do have one of the original MTH Greenbriers in my collection. Here it is. As you can see, MTH did a great job with that, and it looks like Lionel has done a great job with this one as well. Now, on pages 22 through 27 of the 2022 Volume 2 catalog, Lionel offered 6 versions of the new Greenbrier. They did C&O number 614, C&O number 611, chassis system number 614, family lines number 614, C&O 612, which also had 7 matching passenger cars below it, and then there's C&O 612, which is what we have here. And this, of course, is a fantasy paint scheme. I believe it's modeled after the chassis, that big C&O M1 steam turbine, which I also have the MTH version of that, as well as the matching passenger cars. Yeah, that is a super cool set, and we will actually be borrowing those passenger cars for this locomotive today, because while Lionel did offer 7 matching passenger cars for this locomotive, they have yet to arrive. That'll probably be later this year. And by the way, the matching passenger cars that are coming later this year, those also have the same dark orange paint. So let's get some stats on this thing. The locomotive has a length of right at 15 inches. The tender is about 12 inches. And the combined length with the gap between the two and everything is right at 28 inches. All right, now let's weigh this thing. And I have a feeling this is going to weigh a ton because this is all die-cast metal and brass. Very little plastic on this thing. Starting to put these boards under this scale because sometimes if I just lay the scale on the track itself, it gets kind of skewed. So the locomotive weighs in at just under 8 pounds, 15 ounces, so almost 9 pounds. And the tender weighs in at right at 4 pounds, 12 ounces. And we'll get a combined weight, just so we don't have to do any math. Wow, just under 13 pounds, 11 ounces. 13 pounds, 10.7 ounces. Yeah, this is a lot of locomotive. All right, next, now this is where things start to get really crazy. I tested the pulling power of this locomotive off screen, and because it's getting in the neighborhood of 15 pounds in weight, I was expecting decent pulling power, and boy, I was not disappointed. This thing maxed out at 5 pounds, 5 ounces of pulling power. That is spectacular. It's more than spectacular. It is stunning. This may be the most powerful single non-articulated, non-multi-unit locomotive I've ever tested. I'm not sure about that, but it sounds like it. It is absolutely stunning. Now, in terms of how many cars you can pull, my tests have shown that the average O-scale freight or passenger car usually requires around 1.3 ounces to pull each car. So this thing pulls 5 pounds, 5 ounces. That is 85 ounces. Divide that by 1.3 and you get 65 cars. So theoretically, this thing could pull 65 cars behind it. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that because that is the upper limit. If I was going to max this out, I would probably say do it around maybe 50 cars or something like that. But it's really all academic because this thing is meant to pull passenger cars, and you're typically not going to pull 50 passenger cars or 60 passenger cars behind this locomotive. So in terms of how many passenger cars this thing can pull, don't even worry about it. Okay, we're going to take a fun little detour here because since I said that this new Lionel Greenbrier can likely pull up to 65 cars behind it, I know somebody's going to ask me to test that out. Now, unfortunately, I can't put 65 cars behind this locomotive on my layout without the train running into itself. The most I can do is 46 or so. However, what I can do is put 20 of these Atlas Gunderson auto carriers behind this locomotive. Each one of these auto carrier cars weighs a little over 3 pounds, which is basically 3 times the average weight of your typical O-scale freight or passenger car, probably a little more. So this is essentially the equivalent of it pulling 60 to 65 cars. Oh, and by the way, it should be noted that ordinarily I would pull these 20 Atlas auto carrier cars with diesel power, not steam power. And when I've done that, I had to use 3 twin-motored full-size diesels to pull these 20 cars. They're that heavy. So yeah, 3 full-size diesels to pull these cars. Let's see what this single-motored Greenbrier has to say about that. And it's pulling them. Absolutely amazing. This thing is a monster. Now again, I wouldn't recommend doing this on a regular basis because it's going to tax the motor and tax the traction tires, but you could do it. It's cooking now. Wow. All right, now we'll go in for some close-up shots, and this should be fun because this thing is so gorgeous. So here's a look at the pilot area, and you can see we've got all sorts of beautiful stuff going on. This little see-through metal grill here, a metal grab iron, a metal coupler cut bar right here. And then down on the pilot, this piece swings out to reveal a dummy scale coupler. And if you want to double head this locomotive, you can swap that out with this dummy O-gauge coupler that's also packaged in the box when you buy the locomotive. And that swings back like that. Pretty cool. Above all that, we've got the operating headlight with lighted number boards on either side, and you can see all sorts of cool details here behind this piece, including these steps on either side, which are partially obscured by the smoke deflectors right now. And then above that, we've got this absolutely gorgeous smoke box area, including those smoke deflectors, which can be detached if you want, like we did in the unboxing. Just sort of grab them like that and pull them off. And then when you're ready to reattach it, it just goes back in those 2 holes up top that I showed you during the unboxing. Swings down in place like that. And in between those smoke deflectors, boy, there's lots of stuff going on. Got the number board there, lots of rivet detailing going on, a little bell, lighted number boards up here, and operating classification lights as well. Then if you look down the side, you can see this awesome looking drive gear, all sorts of details going on here on the underside. And then that great orange paint up here, and lots of add-on details going on here as well. And that detailing continues as we move back toward the cab. Look at all of this piping and so forth around the firebox. Just looks amazing. And then we get to the cab. We've got clear plastic inserts in the windows, and these windows do move back and forth. They kind of slide open and closed. It's kind of neat. You can see we've got these nice curtains around the door for the cab. There are 2 hand-painted crew figures in there. The interior of the cab is illuminated, and there is a red glow in the firebox when the locomotive is in operation. And then we've got all sorts of hand-painted valves and gauges on the back head. It looks great. And then out here you can see lots of add-on metal grab irons. There's this deck plate with safety tread on it to connect the cab to the tender. And then down here we've got the drawbar with the infrared tether that allows the electronics in the locomotive to communicate with the electronics in the tender. Up top, things look just as good, and man, this orange and silver paint scheme, it just pops. It looks so incredible. I know it looks great on video, but trust me, in person, it looks even better. So we've got a smokestack with a fan-driven smoke unit down in there, and there is a second smoke unit for the whistle steam smoke effect that's right here. There's a little hole right below the whistle, and then when you blow the whistle, smoke shoots out of that hole and gives the illusion of steam shooting out of the whistle. And to load smoke fluid into both smoke units, you simply pour smoke fluid directly down the stack. And then moving back, we've got this sand dome, which can be removed to reveal the master controls for the locomotive. We've got the run program switch. That's used to program this into your legacy TMCC or soon-to-be Base 3 command system. Then we've got Bluetooth. You'd use that to run this with the Lion Chief app on your smartphone or tablet. Then we've got the main smoke unit on and off and the whistle smoke on and off switch. And this cap is held down with magnets, so it should snap back in place like that. Behind that, check out these really cool brass pop-off valves. They look great. And then we've got the cab roof. There is a vent which can be opened like that. And here's what it looks like on the underside of the locomotive. We've got 3 pickup rollers for good center rail contact, and there are 2 traction tires on the last set of drivers. Here's a look at the gap between the locomotive and the tender. It looks pretty good, and it definitely is helped by having this drop plate here. And then we've got the tender, which I think complements the locomotive perfectly, especially with this nice orange stripe going across. And then we've got a crisp C&O logo below that. Lots of nice rivet detailing. These painted on stripes/ribs, which look good. And then we've got the die-cast metal trucks with add-on chains coming off each corner. And then we've got nice step detail at each corner of the tender. The top of the tender looks absolutely beautiful. We've got a real coal load up here. It's a bit shiny, but yes, that is real coal. And then back here, we've got some opening water hatches. Oh, just a quick little aside. When I opened up the water hatches on the tender, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there are some empty slots and some writing. And these are the remnants from when this was an MTH locomotive. Of course, these functions are no longer there, because this is now a legacy locomotive. But if you look closely, you can see there's where the old smoke volume pot was. Then we had the toggle for 2-rail or 3-rail operation. Then we had a toggle for polarity or DCS. I guess that meant DCC or DCS. And then we had the main audio volume pot. Very cool, so sort of the ghost of MTH. And finally, here's a look at the underside of the tender. We've got 2 pickup rollers, 1 per truck. Then we've got the sensor for the Lionel LCS sensor track if you choose to use one. I don't, but if you want to, there's the sensor. And then we've got 2 speakers right here for the sound system. All right, the last thing we're going to do before we start this thing up is, well, you know what it is. Okay, BFIMO this time around is a complete no-brainer. The paint scheme on this thing is absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful, it's stunning, it's stellar. In a nutshell, I absolutely love this thing. Okay, now it's fun time. Let's go ahead and start her up.
Train 1 brakeman. We have good initial terminal brake test on timetable train number 1. Over.
That's a Roger. We have good initial terminal brake test on timetable train number 1. Out.
Okay, as usual, we've got a choice of 5 whistles and 5 bells, so let's check out the 5 available whistles. And here are the 5 bell tones. Here's the cylinder steam sound. And here's the sound of water being added to the tender.
The water's full. Out.
And here's the sound of coal being added to the tender.
My coal's full. Out.
This model has the bicolor classification light feature, so you can change the classification lights from green to white to off. And lastly, here's a sampling of some of the crew talk sounds.
Train orders say holding the siding until 44 clears, and we can take the main. You should be through any minute. Dispatcher, we're ready. Is it okay to pull? Over.
Please stand by. Out. Switchless says we've got 1 off and 3 on at the head end.
These long waits are brutal. At least the back hit keeps the coffee hot. Ash pans are empty. Car knockers heading your way. Make sure everything's good.
Okay, we are ready to move it out. And again, I'm going to be running these with my MTH chassis passenger cars. And I do apologize that the yellow on the passenger cars doesn't match the orange on the locomotive. But as I said, when the matching Lionel passenger cars arrive sometime later this year, I hope, they will match the locomotive.
Dispatcher, we're ready. Is it okay to pull? Over.
Take the green. Out.
Dispatcher, go to the register room to sign out. Out.
All right, there you have it. The new 3-rail O-scale 484 Greenbrier from Lionel. This thing is absolutely fantastic. I love it, and I'm so glad I ordered one. In fact, now I kind of regret not ordering 2 of these. So if you want to pick one of these up, no matter which paint scheme or road name you get, the retail price is the same, right at $1,700. Now, if you go through a good Lionel dealer, you should be able to get a little bit of a discount off that retail price. And as always, if you're looking for a good Lionel dealer, try my favorite train store, which is Legacy Station. You can find them on the web at legacystation.com or give them a call at 770-339-7780. Lastly, if you'd like to support this channel, I would greatly appreciate it. That can be done through Patreon at patreon.com/ericstrains. Patreon supporters get access to all sorts of perks and benefits, and you can read about those benefits on my Patreon page. I'd like to put a big thank you out there to all of my current Patreon supporters. Your support means the world, not only to me, but to the future of this channel. And an extra super big thank you goes out to my premium tier Patreon supporters. You'll see their names listed at the end of this video. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. That's it for now. I'm Eric Siegel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey everybody, today we're going to be checking out what is most likely going to be the most beautiful locomotive of 2023, and I've got a hint right here in my lap.